And we are live. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. This is Friday, June 18th. It's about 6:15 a.m. We have got weather today. Pretty cool. There are clouds in the sky. And looks like it rained last night a little. It's humid, which is good for Beijing because since I moved here, we've been in drought-like conditions. It was said in the early days that rainfall did not meet needs, so there have been drought-like conditions for 100 years. So that's fun. I mean, it's not fun. It's not any kind of fun. It's BS. Here's a nice shot of some bikes getting moved around, rental bikes. If you like to rent your bike, there's a phenomenon I'll talk about for a moment. The OFO bike phenomenon and the Mobike. So a few years back, one of the corporate party bigwigs thought it would be a good idea to put rental bikes all over the city. Now, the city tried it first, and like everything the government does, they do a bad job at it. So private corporations took over and did an even worse job. But the difference being that the state-run system that tried to do it put in like full installations at all of the subway stops where the bikes were numbered and locked into position, because they can just, they can always seize any amount of public lands they want for their use and do that kind of thing. But that required a whole registry, like with your ID and a big deposit and stuff like that. And so nobody really used those bikes. But the private corporations, so-called private, still state-owned, just through different avenues, right? They just started putting bikes everywhere and manufacturing all the bikes you need. And so those bikes started piling up everywhere on street corners. And I mean, you could do a little search here on YouTube and see the kind of shit show that it turned into. And it's still, I mean, folks would get angry because all the bikes would be lined up just blocking the way, and nobody has any kind of accountability with the bike because the deposit was really low, and they would charge you a relatively low price to use the bike. And so folks, of course, just abused the system and continue to abuse the system. So that was and is still a project of decadence and excess. But it leaves bikes everywhere. Like, if you need a bike, there's plenty of bikes just sitting around at every corner. And I guess they started new landfills to do away with the bikes that are, 6-7 months old, rather than fix them, which they don't do. They just manufacture more. So it has turned into a part of the economy. So three things that have driven, that are a pollution-based so-called economic solution, right? Because they want to be an economic juggernaut. The bikes, the one that happened right before that, though, it's like they just make one bad mistake to another. Doesn't stop. It's like, hey, we made this earth-shattering, pollution-creating mistake. Let's follow that up with another one and another one. So the first one that they said increased our rubbish production by like 10 times or something. And this was right on the back of the firework ban, was the whole economy of delivery. Now, Beijing had a postal system and an express mail system, but it wasn't really a big deal until eBay. The Chinese eBay is called Taobao. And I remember the year that struck, trash just started piling up everywhere. And there was an article in the news about it. And they said that in 1 year, our rubbish production, like the amount of trash we were creating in the city, increased by like 10 times. And they thought, oh, okay, that's a great idea. On top of that, let's start doing mass manufacture of rental bikes and then add those to the rubbish bin. And then there was a third. What was the third great mistake in the last decade? I had just thought of it, now I've forgotten about it. Anyway, doesn't matter, it'll come to me later. I mean, there's such glaringly obvious misuse of public funds. Misuse of the communal endowment, that it's just amazing to me. All right, we've hit the airport highway, so this one must have gone a little long. I'll wrap this one up here so I can download it, and I'll see you back in a moment for part 2. As above, so below, as within, to know, to dare, and to... I love y'all good looking, sexy people out in Happy Land.